Hello everybody, welcome to our new series, Developing a Dynamic Website. Now this is kind of a sequel and remake to our, what we'll call it, the original series, Developing a Dynamic Website from start to finish, which never ended up getting finished. In between the beginning and the last video we made in that series, video 25, a lot of new technology kind of surfaced, and my own personal knowledge of things and how to make things more efficient grew. So rather than continue on making a series that had old technology in it, I wanted to start fresh, and that's what we have here. So let's talk about what we're going to do in this series. Obviously, we're going to build a website, and with that website, we're going to build a front end, or what the public sees, and then the back end. And this is what we use to dynamically edit the website. You might call it an admin panel or a control panel or something like that. Now we'll take a look at some of the tools we're going to use. As far as the languages we're going to learn two types of languages: the client-side languages and the server-side languages. Now, client-side languages, these are loaded in your browser, or when a user goes to your website, they're read and run on their computer using their browser. Now the server side, on the other hand, that code is run on the server where you have your website hosted at. The client-side languages we're going to use in this series are HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, not Java. Those are two separate things. The server-side language we're going to use is PHP and MySQL. Now the IDE we're going to use, or Interactive Development Environment, aka the software we're going to use to edit the code and send files and things like that, is going to be Aptana, which you can find at aptana.com, and you can download it for free. Here's Aptana's website. You can simply click on the download Aptana link on the right and browse around the site maybe and learn a little more about it. It was built on the Eclipse engine, which is a very well-known IDE in the development world. Now we're going to use some frameworks. Now these frameworks were written to help make your life a little easier when you're coding. We're going to be using the Twitter Bootstrap framework and the jQuery framework. Twitter Bootstrap was built to help make CSS a lot easier. Now we're still going to learn CSS and use CSS, but some of the objects that you would normally see on a website are already built for you, and the CSS is done for you. It makes making the website a lot easier. And then there's jQuery, which was written to make JavaScript a lot easier to write. And a lot of times you can get what might take you a whole page of code done in a line or two. Twitter's Bootstrap can be downloaded at getbootstrap.com, where they have a full documentation on the framework, and we'll be referring back to this here and there throughout the series. jQuery's framework can be found at jQuery.com, and there's a ton of documentation here for the jQuery framework. We'll be using that as well. Now there's a couple of other tools we're going to use, and we'll probably use more throughout the series, but in the beginning here, I know we're going to use these two tools: Font Awesome and Google Web Fonts. Font Awesome is kind of what the name says. It's an icon bank built using vector objects, which gives us a ton of icons we can use. They're not images, so they don't bog down the site, they don't make it load as slow, and you can scale them as big as you want. Then Google Web Fonts allows us to use fonts that aren't on a user's computer. Now Google Web Fonts is just one of the many locations you can find web fonts. But web fonts are hosted on the web, so normally what we'd have to do is use fonts that we know are going to be available on a user's computer, which leaves us a very limited supply of fonts. With the web fonts, they're loaded on the server, so we can use these fonts, and it doesn't matter if it's on a user's computer or not because it's pulling the font from the server. So that's a quick look at what we're going to do in this series. Now in the original series, we called this project the Atom CMS. CMS meaning Content Management System. And we're going to stick with that name, only we're going to call it Atom 2.0.